dangerous ideas, or ideas that could come off as, caustic, caustic and if not self-centered, but, extremely dangerous eventually. Now, I will tell people always, context in language is very important. What you say and how you say them, the intonation, the semantics, the words you use, and all of these things. These are semantical differences, right? They are, yeah. So we have to be very mindful. We have to be careful as to how we say things, Wait till, are we still on? So I saw the video yesterday, and at the end of the video, the person was calling for, death for a particular nation, I feel that's extremely, caustic. It's dangerous, measure. I couldn't believe it, the preposterousness of again, but we are quick as a people, to criticize governments when they do something bad. But we hardly would we criticize one another, when we go wrong. And I saw on the comment section, people were saying, oh no, isn't someone expected to hold an opinion? That's a caustic opinion, by the way. Even if you hold such, you should not say it's in public. Come on, that's dangerous. Calling for death for a particular nation, well, you shouldn't do that. Let's put aside being Muslim or being Christian. It's being human, right? It's being decent, being civil. And that's the thing we say. To be civilized, people don't understand this. It's an advanced, nation we are living now. You don't just grab, you say something, so it get far-reaching consequences, really. Especially because you are a leader, a religious one at that. A lot of people follow you, You should be a moral guarantor, not least in the religion you're serving, but to the people of this country as well. Let God make them people know you that thing. They say, no. I'll see that video. Good morning, Phoebe. Oh my God, this.
Another weekend, quite.
I'm telling you.
It's always interesting when you follow much of the conversations ongoing in the country.
Indeed.
It's really interesting. But this takes me to statistics, Sierra Leone. Quite a lot is happening. Quite a lot of
Indeed, I saw yesterday.
Allegations here and there. And this, initially, it was more during COVID that we got to understand as a nation misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and its impact. So those of us that have been privileged to go through a training on how to deal with these things, one of the strategies is make available the correct information to the public.
Indeed.
It dilutes, if not entirely deletes, fake news, misinformation, disinformation. But the convenience of statistics, Sierra Leone, to choose to abstain from engaging the public. And if they, as an institution that should provide answers to the public with the allegations made against them here and there, if they make themselves unavailable, what that does is it makes people be convinced that, oh, okay, these allegations against them are true. They have something to hide. So they are not making themselves available. We live in a society where we have, I would say, more gullible people than sensible people.
Most definitely.
So if you withhold the correct information from them, what you're doing is, it's like going to water a plant. You are actually, the plant here is the fake news that is being spread. Your silence, your abstinence from providing what you consider to be fact to the public, it's like you're watering the fake news. Statistics, they put the production team in a, so happened very interestingly. The team had reached out to them with an invitation to be part of the program. And as always, you and I know the nature of invitation. The invitation they send always contains the name of the presenter and the other institutions that would be part of the conversation. So we have a template. All they do every week is edit it with the topic and everything else. So what we do, we send the name of the presenter, the topic, and the other guests that are supposed to be a part of the conversation. So they had reached out, the production unit had reached out to Statistics Sierra Leone to be a part of the program. They agreed they were going to come, and only yesterday morning, the comms person reached out to our production unit saying, well, they have decided after they saw the flyer that they will not be a part of the conversation because there are political parties part of the conversation. So here's the thing. Sometimes when you see journalists trying to play the devil's advocates the other side, that is because those who are supposed to be part of the conversations are not there. The role of the journalist is not to explain on behalf of an institution, except if they're missing. But in critical conversations like this, you make yourself available. You come and talk to the people. When you don't talk to the people, it seems as if the allegations against you are true.
Indeed.
And we've had series of trainings. I remember Auntie Yema Thompson was one of the people that facilitated one of the training sessions we had during the heat of COVID on how to deal with fake information, fake news, disinformation, misinformation. One of the things she taught us was you have to make sure you provide the correct information for the people to counter the fake information. But if you're not making yourselves available, what magic do you want the people to have to provide the answers that you are supposed to provide? This is just, an eye-opener to not just Statistics Sierra Leone, which is the institution in question now, but all other institutions. Learn this. The more you abstain from telling your side of the story, the more guilty you seem to the public.
Indeed.
Abstinence from the conversation is never helping you. It just fans the flames of chaos and divide and question marks about what you do. It's never the right strategy, especially when you're not doing it in your individual capacity. Indeed. But as a state institution, you have the mandate and responsibility and obligation to speak to your people.
Indeed. I mean, and it's something I've observed myself.
People would learn.
Indeed.
Their own version of comms is, if it's too heated, let's abstain. I don't know who taught them that.
I'm not sure. It's from even the FBC. I'm not sure. Yeah.
It's definitely not from us.
No. Indeed. I'm not sure. And I'm observing a pattern in Sierra Leone. Often people do that to us. We would have produced a very beautiful program. Checked facts, statistics, thorough research throughout the night just to wake up in the morning, and then after they had consented to come, they will just send you a message, a flimsy message even often, that, oh no, we are not coming because these people are on the panel. How do you do that? But again, it all speaks to respect for the media as well. And it's something I've observed, that in our country, respect for journalists is quite low. It's subterranean, extremely subterranean, and I understand where it's coming from. Particularly so when a lot of people feel at times that they are, above your status, and pedigree in life. But understand that you are providing information, right? I mean, in most cases, it's not even much really. The only difference perhaps between some of these guests we're inviting and us is because we are journalists. But even academically, we all know the number of fake degrees that are in the country right now. A lot of people are parading with these papers, Went to some makeshift Mangutri, university, and they got a PhD there. And
you're reminding us of
Dominion. I'm telling you. Those are the kind of people we see in Sierra Leone. You have to respect journalists. You would not have done that to the BBC. Or Al Jazeera.
It's not even about the journalists.
That's disrespectful,
Because the journalists are just representatives of the people.
Exactly.
What platform the journalists provide is a platform that, perhaps substitutes or complement. You would not be able to take a megaphone and go across the country. Utilizing the media, it's not about you and the journalists. it's not us and you people. It's actually you and the people.
The people of the country, exactly.
Every time you talk to a journalist, whether it's on the electronics media, radio or television, or it's online, or even the newspaper, you're actually communicating to the people, through the journalist and that media institution, not really between you and the journalist.
No.
That's even I think the perception that they need to correct.
They need to change it.
It's not about the journalist, it's not about you and the journalist. It's about the position you find yourself in, the obligation you have to provide answers to the people.
Exactly.
So it's about you and the people.
Exactly.
It's mostly even these institutions complain about funding. If you say you would not utilize the media, the mainstream media, you would need to be putting up workshops, you would need megaphones. It's going to cost you much more than going to the mainstream media, doing rounds on the TV, radio stations and newspapers. So it's not even about you and the journalist. It's not about the media institution. It's just about you making yourself available to do the work of the people that you're getting paid for with taxpayers' money. But again, it's about maybe perception. Some of the comms people,
it's a wrong perception.
Comms offices, maybe that's what they think is the best strategy to communication. Even in crisis management, if you really, are taught properly on communication, you would know that even in a crisis moment, abstaining from communicating to the public has never been taught in a classroom as a solution to the problem. So I don't even understand how and where they came up with such ideas that abstaining from answering questions to the public is a solution to diluting the heat. No, what you're doing is you're actually leaving them to assume, oh, this piece they not cancelled. Then see how they talk about them too. We have gullible people. Wait, see, they are not agree talk, so always they don't talk about them too. Choice is yours. As the media, the best we can do is do our job. Come up with the topics, call the right guests to come and talk about it. If you come, well and good. You have an opportunity to tell your side of the story. If you don't come, that's well on you. Those who come, they have the opportunity and in fact perhaps more time to tell their side of the story since you're absent, because if you were there, the time would have been divided again in a way that you would have had your own slot. So minus you means that slot is now divided amongst the people that make themselves available for the conversation. So anyhow, this is just us, this is part of, I would say, media literacy, public education, just not just for the institutions, but even for the public, so the public understands the role of the media. The role of the media is not about, the journalist wanting to come and feel glorified. No, it's about the population of the country. We cannot all wake up one morning and converge at PZ or Kailan Kotsbari or Makeni Clock Tower or Bo Clock Tower, Kenema Clock Tower to ask our leaders questions. Few people through the mainstream media can serve as representatives, invite them and ask. As journalists, we're trained and qualified to understand what makes newsworthy, how to come up with topics, what are the relevant issues in the country, what people have been talking about that requires clarity. That's our role. We invite the right people, get the right topics, and we ask the right questions. You showing up is entirely on you. You not showing up is entirely on you. You coming to answer how you answer to the question, say that's entirely also on you. It's just what it is. This is just in case people did not understand this. So this is so we all get to understand, not just us as the media people and the institutions, the public servants, but also the ordinary citizens. So you get to understand these dynamics and how they work.
Anyways, I mean, I really don't know how these people do this thing, because I read the messages sent in our forum, and that they could not participate in the program at this time, that given political parties are present in the studio. How does that negate, the discussion in any way? How? Is it an opportunity even for you to give clarity, context to what people have been insinuating, guessing about? You give clarity with statistics, data. What went wrong? Oh no, we miscalculated this. Oh no, it wasn't our problem, it was the tablet. Oh, this happened actually. It wasn't a fault of ours. It wasn't deliberate. The calculations, this. Okay, if you use this mathematical method, you will arrive at this. That's what happened. A lot of people missed this. Tell us. If you don't have anything to hide, then you wouldn't be,
and we've
creating
had instances where people have made themselves available for interviews, and after those interviews, it actually changed the perception of the public on certain issues that, oh, okay, we thought this was it.
Exactly.
But since this answer has been provided, we now... But anyway, this is us playing our part, yeah?
Indeed.
The West, we all have a responsibility to play our part in the development of the nation. The population of the country, the rest of mankind, the people of the country would decide who's doing their job and who isn't
exactly
doing their job. So anyway, good morning. Today is the 16th day in the month of March already.
Indeed,
wow.
The 16th.
Feels like it was just yesterday we said Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the 16th day of March 2026, and this is how we say good morning and welcome to all of you, our lovely viewers. Tuning in from where? Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Gambia, Senegal, Guinea, Liberia, the UK, USA, even our people in Dubai, in France, wherever it is that you're joining us from this morning. This is how we welcome you to Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV television on channel 33 in Sierra Leone, on radio 101.7 FM and on the STV channel 399. I am Fabian Sweet.
And I am Victor Jones indeed. Stay with us throughout the rest of the show. It has already begun. This show always will bring you, views and on politics, the environment, entertainment, sports, and what have you. It's a 2-hour conversation. It has already begun. So go to our Facebook page and join the host of people there who are watching at the moment and drop your comments there if you see need to do so. We are always broadcasting from the top of Tar Hill in the heart of Freetown, where our studios are domiciled, and we're encouraging your feedback, as I've said, in any of our platforms. We're also streaming on YouTube this morning. You could go there and drop your comment. We are also on TikTok, AYV News. We're on Facebook, AYV News. Before we begin, let's take a quick commercial from our sponsors, Wakeup Commercial Bank. That will be followed, of course, by other advertisers. We shall be back.
In the heart of Sierra Leone's dynamic rhythm, Wakeup Commercial Bank is your beat to a brighter financial future. We're not just a bank, but we're your financial partner committed to your success. We've got the financial tools you need to rise higher. Our team is here to serve you with speed and a smile because your time matters to us. So, are you ready to unlock financial prosperity? Highlighting key banking services such as Keke loans, Combra account, fixed deposits, SME loans, internet and corporate banking, from savings that grow your dreams to loans that fuel your ambitions. Demonstrating fast and friendly customer service. Showcasing cutting-edge banking technology and ATMs. Access your money anytime, anywhere with our state-of-the-art technology and a network of ATMs. Our Wakeup SimCopper app puts banking in your hands, where you can pay for EDSA, AfriMoney, Orange Money, and pay bills including school fees and make transfers to other bank accounts. Remember, you can also experience Wakeup e-banking today. Then join us now. Visit any of our branches or explore our website. Wakeup Commercial Bank, your bank of choice.
Sorry, Carl, go see some business partners.
You didn't give me memory, Michael. Can if I can say, you hear me, this can people in not to Indy.
Today you pay me money. I don't send it for let you help me send money in Ghana. 2 weeks now, you don't send me money and then you don't give me back my money. Today, give me money.
You know ever sabi goodness in life. I send back your money, but trust me, today na the very last day I ever send money for now.
I don't need the help because I don't know so with Afri money. Are they able to send money? Now Baku Africa countries them.
With Afri money, we'll be able to send money to over 10 African countries, whether it's Ghana, Gambia, Liberia, or Kenya. If me party we know this, we not follow the party grammar right now.
Okay, una go regret. I mean, now me not una go regret.
The best part right now, Michael, with Afri money, you dey able to send money, even if you not use app, even if you know the online, directly. All you need for do, you just a dial *161#. Pam, your money don't go. So I don't need the help again. Thief man.
Thank you.
Send money to over 10 African countries instantly with Afri Money. No stress, no excuses. Just dial *161*1*6# now. Afri Money, quick and easy.
As mama, I always want waiting best for me picking them, especially when it comes up waiting them for eat and drink. Now this make I always they choose Sarah juice because they make come from with local foods them and nutritious and it gets less sugar than the other drinks them. Not to me say so.
We last test show say Sierra juice gets 50% less sugar than the other drinks them na the market.
Because we mama they know waiting best for we picking them, now you make we always they choose Sierra juice. Sierra juice and nutritious, it's healthy and it's sweet. Sierra juice, not the taste of Salome.
Again, it's been a very crazy day. The joyous feeling in the air when rain falls on a sunny day. Happy, yeah. Let the stars, let the roll.
Enjoy life's little pleasures with Maltina. Maltina. Share happiness.
Is Wakeup Sierra Leone here on AYV television and radio. We're broadcasting from our studio at the top of Tar Hill in Freetown, Sierra Leone's beautiful capital.
Coming up in the program this morning, Dr. Henry Musa Packer, the country's Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, will be speaking to us about 2.5 years of the Feed Salon Initiative, the 2025 performance contract that placed his ministry first, among many other things that we'll be talking about this morning.
And Honorable Ibrahim Bundu, former Majority Leader in Parliament for APC, and Honorable Bernadette Lahai, former Minority Leader in Parliament for the SLPP, will be speaking on the recent decision of APC not to participate in Parliament and governance.
Do not forget to join in on the conversation. As I said earlier, we're on Facebook, AYV News. We're on YouTube, it's AYV News, Wakeup Sierra Leone. We're also on TikTok. You can go there and search for AYV News. Join the conversation this morning and ensure you drop your comments on the discussions we're having in the studio.
Right, so we'll move on to our straight off to the first segment in the program this morning. In this segment, in the studio, we currently have the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Henry Musa Packer. The Minister is here to talk about 2.5 years of Feed Saloon Initiative, the 2025 performance contracts that placed his ministry first. His progress report on Feed Saloon Initiative, reaffirming the initiative as a response to food security, which he has presented to President Bio. But that, amongst other things, are what we'll be discussing this morning. Good morning.
Morning, Fabian.
Thanks for joining
Victor.
us.
Good morning.
And congratulations, your ministry took first position in the performance contract. How did you pull that off, first of all? How did that come about? How did you pull it off as a ministry?
Thank you very much. It's a good question. Last year we didn't do so well, or at least not as well. The performance contract, just before we talk about how we did so well, really is a series of internal processes ranging from policy making, follow-ups to trips, fundraising, if you have audit queries, and if you have issues that you have to address. Are your management meetings, are you meeting, are you keeping minutes of those meetings? A whole host of things like those. Are you implementing things that you pass in cabinet? That's really, and the reason for that is because you have to do those things to guarantee or ensure that you're going to have impact. And so we wanted to make sure that what is under our control, that we can do them. And so the previous year, and I think, there's a lot of things that make people say bring cabinet papers or not bring cabinet papers. The year before, I didn't bring any because we were busy with other things. But this year, we managed to do all those other things that we wanted to bring, and bring cabinet papers and do some follow-ups on them, raise money. So there are targets for each of those things. It's not like you've done everything. It's like, well, let's give ourselves a target. Okay, we'll bring 5 cabinet papers, we'll raise X amount of money, we will attend this much meetings, and we'll have the, and so when we didn't do so well the first time, I pushed my people. I said, we have to, it's not that we didn't have the papers or the ideas to bring cabinet papers, for example, which we didn't do the year before. And we just said, no, this year, let's do all those things, and we've developed the papers. They're there, they're really interesting, they're important for the work that we're doing. And so I push my team. For me, it's a management culture thing also, where for instance, when it comes to communication, we put out a Feed Salon newsletter without fail every month. We've been doing it for the past 2.5 years. Without fail, maybe first or second or third of the month. And it's important, doesn't matter whether it's holiday or not. I think for me, it's people are expecting that, they want that, and it's important information that we're pushing. And so it's those kinds of things that I say, let's do this first, then we know we're doing the push. So I think that's how we got to where we got in the end this year.
That's quite an impressive A+ scored by your ministry, but also what it does now, with all the explanations that we had the Chief Minister here not long ago talking about generally the performance indicators, what was looked at and how various ministries performed. But what stands out for many is, how is it the Ministry of Agriculture scored an A+, topping the list, when the realities on the ground, the market system hasn't changed much? We're still in a country where we're still importing rice. The agricultural activity in the country is not taking care of the food needs of the people. It still leaves a lot of questions. Getting that A+ in theory, but the practical reality for the people, it's not that they go to the market and see the price of pepper going down to 2 leones per cup. In fact, the usual, it's Ramadan, it increased.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I think those two things can exist at the same time, because first of all, by the way, on the metrics that you are counting in our year 2 report for Feed Salon, on all of those things, rice price is trending downwards. In fact, in some cases, local rice price is cheaper than imported rice, depending on the imported rice that you go for. But we did a study where they're essentially the same. In Cambia, it's the same price. In Bo, similarly. In Freetown, there's some variance. So on that score, is the food there? Yes. Is the price going down? Yes. Are we reducing importation? Yes. For eggs, chicken, onions, are we increasing exports? Yes. By the way, these are key targets, impact targets in the Feed Salon program that we say after 5 years that we want to reduce those. So on that metrics, we're doing well. And maybe, yes, on that metrics, we're not 100%, but we're progressing and we're headed in the right direction under very difficult circumstances. But that's not what the performance contract sort of measured. And it's okay for it not to do that. What it measured is, when I wake up as a Minister of Agriculture, when I go sit, am I just sitting down chit-chatting, or am I doing work that will allow me to make sure that will create the chance, by the way, I should put it that way, that will provide the chance that we will continue to reduce price, that we will continue to reduce importation. And on that front, yes, when I go, I put in the effort, I put in the work, I ask my team to put in the work. And those things that we say we're going to do, we did. We could do all those things. And now there's a war in Iran, and fuel price just went up 35 leones per liter. Tomorrow, rice price is going to go up. Are you going to say I failed? Even though I would have worked, and by the way, this year we just brought in 40 new tractors that we're going to deploy strategically. All of a sudden, the fuel to pump, to give those tractors to do the work is going to go up. If we grow the rice and the price goes up, are you going to say I failed? I have not done my job? So that's the gap between what it is that we say we want to do, that we must do it, but then there's a gap between where we stop and other people or other circumstances that have to also play their part, or that we have to hope and mitigate. So the performance contract is one thing, and the impact, what people feel, is another thing. There is a responsibility we have for that. A large part of it, yes, but it's not all of it. And that's the part I think so that disconnects that. It seems that people are like, well, how can you do so well when the things are expensive? But just this simple example, right? Last year, if now I go deploy 40 tractors and they continue buying fuel at the cost that it is today, and they produce the rice, it's going to be more expensive than rice that was sold last year. And then when we go to the market, people will say the rice went up. But I will say, look, I deployed 40 new tractors. I was focused. I milled the rice. I pushed it and put it in the market. And then when you come back, you will have to be. We'll leave that for you to judge if I didn't do my job. Maybe you can say, fine, let's not get 100%, but there's some effort that we put in.
So, Minister, over 30 combined harvesters have been purchased, 10 industrial rice mills, 23 grain storage facilities acquired. And you talked about the 40 additional, tractors this year alone. Where are they?
First of all, it's way more than 30 combined harvesters. These we've given them to farmers. Okay. Some of them are with the machine rings. The 23 stores, grain stores, these are in 8 districts. I've visited a lot of them. They have, and then in those stores, and we've given over 200 rice mills across the country. 200. WFP brought 10 specific integrated rice mills that are put across the country. Maybe 8 districts, some districts have 2. And these are really making difference in people's lives, in the farmers' lives. So now people are milling their rice. Actually, right now, there's a lot of rice out there that people are milling. The combined harvesters, I think we bought 76 the last time. The 30 that you have, I think, is the second batch that came. We gave those to farmers, to the machinery operators. When it's harvest time, people will need it. And by the way, as big as or small, whatever those numbers are, they're not enough in terms of the need that we have in the space.
The 2023 Auditor General's reports and the Public Accounts Committee on Agriculture in Parliament have earlier raised concerns about missing or poorly, accounted equipment purchased.
This is 2023.
That's why I asked where they are.
2023 audit report. First of all, we had machine ring operators prior to my coming to the ministry that were giving equipment, these tractors, these machines, in a PPP arrangement. Some of them have done well, expanded their fleets, and I would say the vast majority have not. And it's a disappointment to me, to the system. Some of them got this, the ones that are doing well got the harvesters, and they have it to provide services to the people. Parliament calls them, and some of them are supposed to be paying. They have actually put a system in place where they could cut money from whatever work that they do, and they put it in the mechanization fund that we have. And what I have done is, for the ones that haven't done well and have broken machineries, I have asked the military, I'm working with the Chief of Defense Staff and his engineering unit, to repair those. As we speak in Benguima, they're repairing maybe 10 or 12 of those. And when they repair them, I've asked the military to use them, because they are doing 6,000 hectares of rice this year. We're giving them some machines, and some of them they'll take it from the system. So yes, it was a big disappointment that we didn't get a vast majority of those folks to use the machines as we thought they would be used. And so these 40 new ones that just came, we're actually now taking them from the port. We've learned a lot of lessons that we're not going to fall in that trap again.
Who conducts M&E for the Ministry of Agriculture?
There's a whole PEMSD unit.
Because clearly it appears as though that M&E is weak, you know?
Actually, well, maybe there's a M&E, there's a monitoring part of it. Okay. It's not about M&E is weak. It's not. If you come to government and government says, I have 12 tractors, express interest to take it, and you pay for it and you sign a contract. M&E, in fact, it is the M&E that is telling us that they've gone out and say that 60% of these are broken. But it's you, the private person, that comes and took this, and you sign a contract that you're going to work with and pay government back and provide the service. So my guys are doing the job. They're telling us every year before the season, they go out and tell us this is the state of where we are, and they come back. On the data front, which is part of M&E, we're doing an amazing job. I would say we're doing an amazing job because I pay close attention to it, because I've made it clear that we cannot fly blind. And I've been in the system, and I know people with the qualities, abilities of people that are there. Self for Start Sierra Leone, and we bring them when we do our work. There's hardly really any ministry, maybe Ministry of Finance, that have the level of technical expertise that we have. And we spend the time thinking about these things, and we have prioritized it. So what comes out is really good. It's better than what you can find in most, really, like vast majority of ministries, because we set ourselves to do the job, pay attention to it, and you know, it might not be the world's best, but it's workable.
Let's talk about local economy, availability of food, malnutrition, and all that. Local rice, it's a Walla rice, in some places now is sold at 6 leones. Phoebe mentioned that earlier. In some places even it's 7 leones per cup as opposed to 4 leones for imported rice. It's a huge disparity. Ours is even more expensive. How could people afford, you know?
Again, I also mentioned we have done a study. So you have to be specific with the place, and even with the type of imported rice. If you take the jasmine rice, it's 10 leones per cup. Local rice ranges from 5, 6, 7. If you go to Cambia, it's 4 leones per cup. It matches the
Now the car, go see some business partners.
Today they give me my money, Michael. Can if I kiss I young,
Give me this car, people, not to in that day.
Michael, today they pay me my money. I don't send it for let you help me send money in Ghana. 2 weeks now, you not send me money and 10 you not give me back my money. Today, give me my money.
You know, ever sabi goodness na life. I dey send back your money, but trust me, today na the very last day I dey ever send money for now.
I don't need your help because I don't know so with Afri money. I dey able to send money. Now Baku Africa countries them.
With Afri money, we'll be able to send money to over 10 African countries.
Right, welcome back. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Still have the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Henry Musa Parker. Please finish up on the thought we are trying to...
I was talking about competitiveness.
Yes.
And I was saying the scenario we have where those countries that I've named, whether it's China, India, Thailand, you name it, where we import the bulk of our rice from. These are countries that over the years, since the Grain Revolution, where their governments have supported agriculture, massive subsidies, and so much so that their level where they are in terms of yield, they can produce rice on a hectare, they can get 10, 12.
Isn't that why we have the feed salon program? What's stopping us to compete?
I'm coming there. Okay. They can get 10, 12 metric tons per hectare. We have not nearly spent the kind of money or the sustained efforts that they've had over the years so that our yields come to that level. So at feed salon, we are still at 2.37 metric tons per hectare. You say, isn't that why we have feed salon? It is why we have feed salon, but it takes for you to go from, by the way, we started at 1.87 when I was minister, we're now at 2.37, so there's improvement. But it takes what we have seen over these countries that have done every year, maybe 5-10% jump in yield. Okay. So maybe by the time they started at 3, 2, it took a long time for them to get at 8. Luckily for us, by the way, we have technologies now. So last year, one of the really impactful things that we did with President Bill in Wakeup rice switcher station is to release varieties that can yield 6 to 8 metric tons per hectare. We had not released varieties in this country for more than 10 years. And President Bill went and released rice varieties that can do 6 to 8 metric tons per hectare. Do you know what we're doing now? We are working very hard under irrigation monitored system to multiply those seeds and get them into farmers' fields. It takes about 3 to 4 seasons for you to actually multiply and get enough of that to farmers' fields. So yes, that's why feed salon is there, and that's what we're precisely doing. But if you have a country or a farmer that has 12 tons per hectare and another that has 2 tons, that farmer can grow it, polish, whatever, ship it, and sell it, and still cheaper than the one. And that's where we find ourselves. And on the continent as a whole, that's where, you know, when it comes to rice, the yields are so much lower than these places. And yield is one component, right? We don't produce fuel, we buy. When it goes to 35 per liter, and like I said, you buy and put in those tractors now, the guy is going to increase the price when it comes out because the cost, we don't produce fertilizer, we buy. That has gone up 16-20% since the war in Iran. That's going to show up.
But you blame government as well for that. I mean, for high cost. I understand now, let me explain, Mr.
Please.
Minister. Now, there are several costers that inform the total cost of fuel per litre.
Correct.
They have road levy fund, for example, which is now 3.50. We have excise duty, which has been shot up to 5 leones by the government, which was introduced in the Finance Act. Now, the idea is, if you know that this would cause some great discomfort for the people, you remove one of these clusters. It's not as if we're only making money from fuel, right? There are several other places. We have agriculture, for example. We have the mining sector. There is NRA there collecting money. Why can't the government remove one of those clusters? If that is done, I'm sure it will be reduced to even 25 leones or even 24. People will buy fuel at 23 leones per litre in Sierra Leone. I understand that there is an international crisis, but the idea is the government should absorb the shock, not the people.
Don't you think so? By the way, government is absorbing the shock. It just so turns out I know a little bit. This is not my area. I'll have the Minister of Trade come. But I know a little bit about this. But I will say this also. We need every single cent that we can get from revenue. If we don't get, you know what's going to happen? If we're not able to pay our EDSA bill because we didn't generate enough revenue, that's going to cause blackout. People are going to buy generators, things are going to go up. If we don't pay the kids' school fees, that's a huge commitment that we have made. There's a whole host of things, right? In this pricing formula for fuel that you're talking about, there's a way government absorbs them. Government and the OMCs, when the price goes up, there's usually a buffer fund that is in the formula. Sometimes when the global price, when it falls, it means government has money sitting with the OMCs. There's a buffer that there sits. When the price goes up, so that's why it's not every time the price fluctuates that they change the price, because they play in the buffer. But if it changes quickly, as it is doing, its prices have gone up since it's gone up 120, today is 10600. It's more than, and it's done that quickly. So everywhere fuel price is going up. So I mean, I think we can be, this is one place we ought to be fair with government. We're sitting down, fuel prices have been going down.
It doesn't change the fact that if we remove the road user levy, for example, some minister, what are we doing with the road user levy, for example?
I think they are making.
How many roads are they rehabilitating on a monthly basis in this country? We're generating billions of leones each year from people's monies that they buy fuel with in this country per litre. You know how much that costs? If we remove that temporarily, not permanently though, just momentarily, so that we can ease the shock a bit, and then reintroduce it perhaps next year after the tension would have died down internationally.
We don't even know how far this situation is.
That's why the more reason why they should have absorbed the cost. Don't you think so, Mr. Minister?
No. I don't think so, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right, since you don't think so, let me bring you back to agriculture.
Yes.
Now, the intervention of the government that led to the pricing formula for rice, which led to a reduction in the price of imported rice, did affect the business of the local rice producers in the country. For them, it was that there is now an incentive given to their competitors, sort of like an advantage given to their competitors. And yes, the local rice producers are in competition with those who import rice from other countries. And now with all these factors, fertilizer increasing as well, what incentives have you been able to come up with for the rice producers? Rice is our staple food.
Great question. Really, really amazing question. Before I get to that, what I have been seeing very interesting, and I think we did this study. I will share some of the data with you, and maybe at some point you can share with the public, is as the imported rice price has been coming down, the local rice price has been following, and some of them, I know one or two that came to me and said, okay, we're just going to match whatever they're saying. So for me, you can say, okay, sure, that means you're reducing your profit, but are you out of business? Are you in a loss? So that's a different question. So for me, it was also an eye-opener a little bit, because this was my argument that you're making. I said, and it is still true, by the way, that every time you do that, you make the work a little bit steeper for our local farmers. That you make it a little bit steeper every time you reduce that price. That still stands. I'm 100%. That's still that's still true, right? But that they're able to put their rice price on means the same artificial, there might be the same artificial sort of pricing may be in the system somewhere. And partly because we actually support a lot of these farmers, some of the big ones, quite a lot. We push out machines. We give subsidies for seeds and fertilizer to a vast majority of them. So I think that's coming true. That's allowing them to say, okay, you know what? So that we can sell our rice, let us also reduce the price, but we're not out of business, and they're still doing every year. So that's happening. So for me, it's interesting to sort of see that. To your question, I've asked, we put out a lot of support to rice farmers. We just had a meeting when I presented at the Presidential Council meeting. One of the main things that came up was that there's a lot of rice that farmers say they still have. And so government wants to buy it from them and feed the police, the military, and all of that, so that as a minimum price support scheme for them. It's a fantastic way to do it. This will be a policy that I will push. But mindful, because what you don't want, I'm trained as an economist, so every time I could go, I know this will be what you do to be able to protect your local farmers, all of that. But every time you do that, you may get them to be lazy. So you have to watch, where's that sweet spot? This is the price that you want, this is how much input that is coming in, that you are, the cost of it and all of that, so that you are breaking at the point where they make some money, they are motivated to continue to grow, but that, because who do we care about? Ultimately is the consumer. That's the welfare business. That's what, when I don't want, anybody can produce rice, but if your rice nobody can afford, then whatever, right?
And so this is where Liberia and Guinea come in. Our rice, locally produced rice, is being exported to Guinea and Liberia because they offer a better price than we do internally. And from a business perspective, for a rice producer, it's not only about I want to feed my people, it's also I want to make money. So if Liberia and Guinea are offering higher prices to get the rice, it's also being exported to Liberia and Guinea.
So you mean like the Liberian buyers, customers, are paying higher for our rice versus what our local customers here are? Is that what you're saying?
That's not coming, it's not my opinion. It's when you talk to the rice producers, they tell you that they get good prices selling their rice in Guinea and Liberia than selling in Sierra Leone.
That may well be the case, and we noticed that in Cambia district. There's a lot of on the border towns in general,
and it's easier for them there.
Yes,
because movement, it's easier for them to get to Guinea or Liberia than it is to even get to Freetown.
This is very true. I think it's the rice dynamics. We're not going to, we're ECOWAS, we're supposed to allow permits, free trade. So for me, as a Minister of Agriculture, let's paint this scenario. We want for there to be a time when we produce enough of, we are a 7.5 million people economy, 14 million in Guinea, another 4 million in Liberia. If we bump up our production and our market is too small, we want to be able to access those. So for me, what's happening is a natural effect of the free market economy in the free trade. That's fine. It's good for the farmer. I'm on the farmer side on this, right? So when I get questions around what is government, I watch what's happening in the markets. I watch what the farmers are doing. I can tell you there's a role government can play to support these farmers, but if where they're getting a good deal is selling to Liberia, selling to Guinea, that's fine. I don't think it's our place to say don't sell or let's stop that. We don't want to do that. What I can tell you, in a lot of the cases, these guys buying may not necessarily actually be buying at a higher price. What they're doing is they come and pre-commit the farmers in those areas, maybe give them seeds, fertilizer, and things like that. And then in the end, they just come and scoop all the rice and go with it. We know that's happening. So we want to match that. And that effort is on the way. And we're doing some of that actually this year. Remember, we, last year, as we speak, we have close to 10,000 bags, 50 kg bags of rice reserves in Cambia. We mopped it up in that area. WFP bought more similarly in that area as well. And because we have those rice mills in those areas, part of it used to be that we didn't have mills, so they would take the paddy and bring it to Guinea. But now we have those rice mills that we give, so more of that milling is happening. So competitiveness remains an issue, and I can admit to that, and it's something that we're working on. It's something that takes time. It's not going to be a thing where it will take, we're making progress. We want to be seeing our yields increasing. The math we have done is by 3.5, 4 metric tons per hectare in the farmer's field is what will make our farmers begin to really feel competitive with the imported rice coming in, because we're not doing that massive transportation. I think that's where we want to be. We have seen that every year we're increasing yield by between anywhere from 5 to 10%. That's slow. Now that we have put out these new varieties that can give us between, on the experimental plot, is 6 to 8 metric tons per hectare. Like I said, we're working very hard to multiply that and then give it out to farmers. If we do that, maybe we'll reach quickly that 3.5, 4 metric tons per hectare number. And that will allow us to produce rice competitively. And to the support, we can support pricing scheme. We've also, and which we do, we want to have, and every year we've done this, rice farmers, there's a credit facility for them. You can go out there and get cheap credit so that when you grow your rice, the interest rates that is in the commercial is not what you're paying. That's one way we're supporting you. As a government, we're doing 17,000 hectares. That's small in the grand scheme of things, but that are in terms of subsidies that are going to go out. And so, yes, imported rice price comes down. It makes it a bit, the slope is steeper for our local farmers. But when we give some of this support, we begin to tilt it down a little bit for them. And it is the balance that we have to strike. And it's a balance because ultimately we want, people want, I think that's the thing you're saying, people want cheap rice in this country. And that's the pressure we are under. I can tell my farmers, just grow rice, but they are going to say, where are we going to sell it? If I charge 1,500 leones per bag and nobody buys it, then it's going to rot, because people want to buy it at 600 leones, 500 leones. But if it's going to cost them 1,000, it's at a loss. So government does a little bit, but ultimately the market has to work, because that's when it's sustainable.
But also on the other side, it's also some of the unavailability of certain infrastructure that the farmers lack that lead to the increase in the prices of their own rice they produce in the country. Not long ago, we had Honorable Alpha Jabi from Sulema Chiefdom in Falaba district, and he said they have a lot of locally produced rice in that district. He said that they still have even rice harvested from previous season, adding to the most recent season. Yeah. So there is a lot of rice. Now you begin to wonder, what does the government through the Ministry of Agriculture and its partners do in areas like that where there is rice, locally produced rice? It's available, but there are also other areas in the country that need that rice where it's not available. The greatest challenge for them is road network.
Excellent. Part of the reason why, across the globe, when or on the continent, when people talk about agriculture, they talk about food systems, they talk about pathways, all these sort of things as pillars. When I talk about our strategy out there, people look at it and be like, you have got it right. Because it's not just about the production. It's about all these adjacent things that have to make sure the food system works. So in our strategy, infrastructure is a big part. So you've seen President Bio go out and commission bridges. This year we're doing 420 kilometers of feeder road and another 78 kilometers of farm tracks that link to those feeder roads. We're building storage facilities. The thing about agriculture, you have to do all these things all at once. If you leave any single part, so we were just talking about cost of fuel, which is a big part of agriculture. Now we're talking about the roads. We'll talk about processing, which takes fuel, energy, and you have to do them all. If you leave one and don't do the other, you're going to have these semblance of like something is not working. And then you feel like you can push and push and push and push, and you feel like nothing is working. But we're making a lot of progress. We are the sheer amount of resources and the time that it needs for you to fit all of these things makes it quite it's daunting in a way, which is why in our strategy we said, let us identify hubs. In these hubs, we're going to have a proof of concept. We will direct private sector there. We will put the requisite infrastructure. We will build storage facilities. It will be near where the production happens, so that we can demonstrate that if we have all these things, the infrastructure, the financing, the storage facility, and the know-how in those areas, that we can begin to see the progress, and that will begin to replicate in some places. Our hub in Pujon is far advanced. Our hub in Tomabom is far advanced. Just last week in Cambia and Port Loko and Tonkolili, we're going to do another one. Just got money approved, 75 million from the African Development Bank, and from those, because they believe in the strategy and in the way we framed it, because it touches on all these issues. And so these are real issues. At the Presidential Council meeting, the President was very upfront. He said, when I said let's feed Salone, there's one thing I didn't realize myself. And of course, in our country, people just think, oh, let's now start producing tomorrow. But he said, what I learned was that infrastructure was a prerequisite for us to do the kind of jump that we want to do. We knew that, and he knew that, and we put that in our strategy. And so these hubs that we say we're going to develop, we're putting that necessary. We want to make sure we increase the density of infrastructure in these areas for production, because we want to demonstrate that in these areas, and we're doing it geographically across the country, so that we can address some of these challenges.
So, Minister, I see 3 big goals for the Feed Salone program. I see food security, rice, cassava, maize, import substitution, see poultry, onion, cassava, flour, export agriculture, cocoa, coffee, cashew, and all of that. But let's talk about statistics for a while. According to the 2024-2025 World Food Program report, 77 to 78% of the population in Sierra Leone, they say, is food insecure. About 17% are severely food insecure. The World Food Program described food insecurity in Sierra Leone as chronic and structural. The country, they linked it to weak agricultural productivity. It goes back to what we were saying just now. These are statistics from the World Food Program. And you may agree with me that these are horrific data.
That data that you're pointing, if you go to the previous one, you see improvement. And the data that actually matters the most for a more structural and systemic, and that we're undoing, is the severe food insecurity. That number 2 years ago was 28%. Okay. 17% now. If you go a little bit, it was even higher. Similarly for food insecurity, so there's improvement.
Let's talk about the Global Hunger Index then. The assessment for 2025 said Sierra Leone ranked 108, by the way, 108 out of 123. It painted a picture that our hunger situation is really serious, don't you think so? I know that there are improvements, of course, no doubt, but perhaps it's too small.
We started from a very low base, sir. I think that's the point. Okay. We started from a very low base, from a very low structural base, which is why President Bill wanted us to focus on food. for feeds alone for his next the next 5 years in his second term of presidency. From that very low base, and what you have been seeing over the years is improvement over improvement. The next time that report comes out, you will see improvements. The WFP report that you cited shows improvement. Yes, it's still at a high level, but it's improvement.
Let's talk about nutrition then. UNICEF Nutrition Report 2024-2025, 26.2% of children under 5 in Sierra Leone are stunned, meaning they are chronically malnourished. 26.2% they say. 5.2 are wasted, that is acute malnutrition. About 260,000 children, they say, suffer wasting each year. Roughly 60,000 children are severely malnourished, putting them at high risk of death. Nearly 500,000 children under 5 are stunned nationwide. These are UNICEF statistics just for 2025.
I understand. By the way, we want every child to be healthy, educated. That's why President Bill made human capital his flagship as well. But those numbers, when you compare to other countries, are actually quite good. Even though we want to see, this is true, on nutrition, on those metrics, on health metrics, our human capital around those is quite better. If you, those numbers, if you compare to our neighbors, or even not even our neighbors, Senegal, other places, these are not bad relative to those ones. Even though we want to see vast improvements in all those areas.
I understand, Mr. Minister, but again, when you look at things from, the subterranean level, it will tell you that with all of the resources we have, with all of the riches we have in this country trapped underneath our ground, then this is quite infinitesimal for the people to live with.
Now, I'm not.
Now, I understand you compare with other countries, that are worse off, but I mean, with what we have, then we should not be talking about nutrition even.
All these other countries that I'm also talking about have massive, take Guinea, it's bauxite, Semandu, what they have.
Should we be always comparing ourselves with other countries, Mr. Minister?
There's a reason for doing that. Okay. Because I don't actually, by the way, I don't like to compare. The only way I compare myself to myself, generally, right? Okay. But when you are in this space, in public, first of all, we have to see what's improving over time. Okay. So in your first WFP report that you gave, I told you if you compare us last year, we've improved, correct? Okay. In this one, because I've seen information for other countries, which is how the countries, they say, okay, which countries are doing well. Yeah. And they do that because they are structural things, right? And look, we're a very resource-endowed country. We are a very resilient country. We have smart people. We can do the work. But we have started from a very low base. This is, since the war, it's one stride after another. And you could argue we should be far, 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 far gone since independence. You can start there. But that's not the cards we were dealt with. But that's not the cards President Bill was dealt with.
But would you agree with me that most of the governments have failed actually since independence in this country?
That there's been improvements. There's some governments, there's some structural things that have changed. We have peace in the country, there's stability. We've gone back on some things. We could have improved quite a lot. But for the last 7 to 8 years, we've seen consistent efforts in investing in the things that matter, human capital, infrastructure. President Bill has built more kilometers of road than anybody has done.
To be honest,
focus on building a structural economy on agriculture that works. It takes a while to grow countries, and I understand that, and I don't want to, and I know people don't have a while to live. They're living today. They need something to eat today. They need to send their kids to school today. But this is where we are, and we're doing all of this, by the way. At least for President Bill, he's done all of this under Ebola, COVID, now this war. There has not been a respite of 2-3 years where you're like, we have
I understand
a windfall, but this is important.
When you talk about it, the APC will tell you the same thing, that we had Ebola, for example. The crises are inevitable these days. Global disorder, it always sends shockwave across the world. Let's talk about, maybe we're rounding off, Mr. Minister. The World Food Programme Security Monitoring System 2024 says that many families spend over 75% of their monthly income on food alone. Dietary diversity is extremely low, especially for children. In some districts, they pointed out, Moyamba district particularly, in the provinces, the situation is even worse. 86% of households spend most of their income on food. The question I want to ask you is, would you have graded yourself 100%?
Would I have graded myself on 100%?
I mean, all of these, statistical realities I've painted. I mean, malnutrition, insufficiency of food, expensiveness of the very commodities we're talking about, fuel hikes and all of these things. Would you have actually naturally graded yourself 100% being first among the ratings that the Chief Minister just did?
Let me tell you.
No, would you have graded yourself, Mr. Minister?
I want to answer your
reality
question.
or not?
I want to answer your question. Will you allow me? Okay. I just told you, as Feed Salon, we give ourselves a metrics to say every year we want to reduce importation of rice and all these things by 10%. We're nearly every year hitting that 8-9% importation. Are we seeing reduction in prices? Which, by the way, we did not commit to, because price is not under our control. We are seeing that. We say we want to reduce malnutrition numbers and food insecurity numbers. We are seeing that go down. On those metrics, I feel very good about where we are. I feel we set a target and we are hitting those targets.
What you're telling me now is that the grading that they did wasn't holistic.
No, I've already.
You talk about targets that you were given as a ministry. I mean, don't talk about food.
The Chief Minister
on the plates of people in their homes, malnutrition and sufficiency of food.
The Chief Minister
was
what
here. You're talking about actually. So the grading, if we were to understand correctly, Mr. Minister, had to do with targets that you were given in cabinet.
Would you
met? Would you did meet, by the way?
Would you let me answer? You're asking.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm just following up, Mr. Minister.
Okay. I told you about the grading.
Yeah.
The grading, these are internal processes. I can tell you specifically, how many cabinet papers did you pass in cabinet? Did you respond to your audit queries? Did you raise money? Did you do follow-ups? So for example, President Bio went to Vienna and $800 million was pledged about 2 years ago. To translate that into real money and real project takes a lot of work. All paperwork, emails, follow-ups. We have brought in over 340 million of that in just under 2 years. That's a lot of work. That's what it was being graded on. You bring very salient points that, okay, there is your internal processes on the one hand, and there is what the people are feeling on the other hand. And I'm telling you, because you asked me if I can grade myself, and I'm telling you, by the way, I set target for myself. And those targets we wrote in our report, the second year report, and they're the ones I was telling you. Importation, price, nutrition that you mentioned, food insecurity. These are numbers that are going down as we had said. So I feel very good about where we are. I'm not saying I feel very good, and I feel like we're hitting our targets. And on
you
that
feel
front,
good even in the midst of rife malnutrition and food insecurity?
I feel good about the progress we're making. We're making progress. We're not going backward. I understand this. I'll be the first one to tell you, and this is what I tell my people all the time. With agriculture, forget what you've done. Forget what you've done. Every season is new. If you planted 20,000 hectares last year and you don't plant any, people are going to be hungry. So because you were bringing records and targets and these, I'm just telling you, I set myself targets. I'm hitting the targets. That's not the point. The point is what you and I are talking about. Are we able to move our country? Are we able to make sure every child eats? That's what I wake up to do every day. That's what I keep doing. And I have to do these things. I have to bring cabinet paper. When we pushed for the 35% import duty on eggs, because the poultry farmers were calling for that. The massive response we've seen. I just commissioned a 22,000 first automated poultry in the country. On Thursday, I will go commission another 20,000, another automated, all benefiting because we passed a policy, because we set a credit facility that they benefited from. If I did not put up a credit facility, they will not benefit from it. But it's a policy that I said I was going to do. I did it, they benefited, and they're producing eggs. So you can draw the link. You can see why I would feel good from what we're doing, even though there's so much more to do. And some, it's good to compare other countries. It's good to some of us that go out and see and have gone out, we know there's so much we can do, and we forget about that. By the way, I run around this. I go to markets. I see what's happening, and I know what's within our power to try to do, and that's what I try to do. But on those metrics, on the things we've set, we're very happy that we're.
Onions at some point was a challenge in Sierra Leone. We had fluctuating prices and scarcity at some point here and there. Somehow we got to a point where we have local producers now, and it seems onions is not much of a challenge as it used to be. But whatever it is that you did, the expectation is that can be replicated for other sectors. Rice, poultry. Not long ago, last year, you had investors in the country. How much progress have you made in that area? The investors you had that came in the country, and all the other investors you've been poaching for investment in the agricultural sector. How much money has your ministry been able to bring in the country? How much investment can you account for?
Yes, thank you very much. Before I get to that, let me talk on the onion bit, because that's also another important thing. It was also a policy that we had set. And we, again, part of this credit facility and working to say, private sector, we will make sure you are a big part of delivery for feed alone. And so this, the Onion PC and Sons that you talked about now, we worked with them very closely, and they did a lot of work working alongside us. They got a big injection of funds from IFC, and they moved from being the biggest importer, and now they're the biggest producer, and we give women farmers 1,000 women farmers sort of seedlings to work with them, so the outgrower scheme. So it's a real example of what we want. And it brings to the question you asked. We want private sector to be a big part of this. PC and Sons, they are now part of this investment, which, by the way, you graciously emceed for us. We had about four or five MOUs signed. This was both part of it was we had local private sector people that are looking for ways to get funds. Government created that platform where we bring impact investors, some small, some large. I think the investors that came, the minimum ticket size they could invest in is, I think, about 2 million, or I think that's the smallest. But you have 5 million, 10 million, right? So we wanted to bring these two together. So basically private business to business kind of relations. 5 MOU signed. There's now one in the process of signing the contract to be able to do the first ever fertilizer blending plant here. Orders for fish pond. They are doing a feasibility study. No real investment from the business to business front has actually happened, because that was the goal. This was a business to business. So we wanted to bring the local private sectors here to connect. By the way, that's also part of the metrics that we had ourselves. Can we create a platform for private sector to meet people, and eventually something will pan out, and it's not for nothing that we're doing these things.
So about your figures, how much money have you been able to bring in?
From a business to business front, they haven't signed any deal, but there's 5 MOUs, and there's a lot of work, feasibility study ongoing. One is signed contract to bring a fertilizer blending plant. We're hoping something pans out, and we're going to do it again. Government will stand. Actually, this is. Well, let me see. Actually, I can correct myself that we brought Vista Bank that brought 10 million in for the commercial bank, 10 million euros in. Then we brought, I think now that my memory is coming back, the guys that do sugarcane in McKinney also got money from impact investor. I just don't know the amount now. But there's ARIA and the British Investments Group. Why is this escaping me? The guys that co-sponsored. I've lost it,
okay.
but there's some have translated into money actually. In the 10 million that we signed was there, and there people are now taking it. The sugarcane guys, and I think there's 1 or 2 others. They visited a rice farm. Jam J, he's in the process. Anyways, I can find those numbers for you.
So the the system that was implemented with the onion situation, the major importers became producers now instead of importers. The expectation is that can be replicated with rice. At some point, you had communicated publicly that there are negotiations in that direction, as you did with the onions, to get the importers transition to producers. What's the feedback from that negotiation? Because the thing about imported rice and local rice, though affordability is very important to many households, the have-nots, but the quality of the rice is also important in the area of nutrition. You would get complaints that some of the rice we receive, these are not freshly produced rice. These are rice that have been stored in these countries for so long, and these are the ones they sent to us. Whereas our locally produced rice is more nutritious than the imported rice. So affordability is one, but also nutrition is another concern. But addressing this perhaps in the way that the onion situation was addressed could be a win for everyone. What's the feedback in that negotiation? How far along is it?
It's a good question. I'll come to that. The poultry that I went to open, the guys that brought the 22,000, they are also the biggest importer of eggs in the country, and they want to transition. So from onions, I'm very bullish about poultry that's happening. Rice is very tricky. Rice is very tricky because everybody eats rice 3 times a day here. If you do anything to change the dynamics, it becomes a major issue. Having said that, the biggest importer of rice, CTC, has been in my office 4 or 5 times this past month, this year, either on phone or in my office, and I've connected them. What they want to do, they say they are ready to take our rice, and I've connected them with these rice producers, process, bag, and bring to the market, to the people. So it's ongoing. By the way, the rice, we will add, there will be an additional, as of this year, we got an additional 5% added on the import duty. So it was, the previous year we couldn't, they stopped it, Parliament didn't allow, but this year there's that additional 5%, make it 10%. So we'll continue doing that until it hits 15%, but also to encourage these private sector guys. As you know, the first cabinet paper I ever passed as minister was on rice, was precisely to have the rice importers participate in the rice value chain, and participation was left broadly. You could bag rice, you could support whatever. CTC has finally come along, and they've done 2 field trips. Actually, they did one with me a year and a half ago. Last week they were in the field engaging these farmers. They've brought the machines. They want to mill, bag this rice, and put it into the market. So we'll keep pushing, but rice is a tricky one because it's everybody eats rice 3 times a day. If you touch that, it becomes an issue. And so I'm reading a book about systems, and it's one, every time when I'm reading that book, it's the rice thing that comes to my head. You have to watch it. You have to watch the rhythm of it and the players in it and monitor it before you jump at it. But I think the thing that we're not going to stop to do, we will keep investing in the farmers, number one. We'll make sure yields are going up. That's why we're very glad that we have new technologies now that can give us 6 to 8 metric tons per hectare. We'll quickly multiply that as we then push into farmers' field. That will increase our chance of that competitiveness. Once that begins to happen, people are producing more rice, supply is there, we can begin to put it naturally in the market, and then that will give people comfort to say, no, let's add more duty on rice that is coming, so that our local rice can sell. You're right, the glycemic index factor for imported rice, is non-parboiled rice, is very high, which is not good for your health, and sometimes some rice is 10, 12 years old. And by the way, this jasmine fenfen, which this is the secret people don't know, jasmine fenfen, that means it's 100% broken. When you go buy rice, I've gone out to rice markets, 100% broken rice is the cheapest rice that these guys get, and they buy it and come and sell it here as the most expensive rice because it's what our people say we want. We don't know all of these things. It's because the consumers drive this stuff. So I'm with you that when we're at a certain level, our parboiled rice, and by the way, CTC was so shocked when I showed them They said, we're ready. We've seen some of your rice. They went to supermarket and bought. They brought their rice. Said, do you have some samples? I showed them sample. They put side by side. You could not tell which is imported rice and which is local rice. You could not tell. They could not. I can show you a picture right now. They were impressed with that, and that's why they want to go ahead. So by the time we increase the quality of our rice, reduce the stones, parboil it, increase that yield, we should be able to do what we're doing in onions and poultry very soon, but it's a tricky one.
We're trying to round off now to jump into the next segment, but what are the timelines as we round off? What are the timelines? People hear these stories and they become hopeful or get excited. What are the timelines?
Well, I can tell you a few things. The clusters that we have in Tomabom and Gundapi, those will be ready. Those are clusters where, and now we have 14 new tractors and there's land there. I'm going to deploy those tractors in these areas so that the rice that we will grow rice there a lot. We will process there, we will bag there, and we will ship in the market. So when you say timeline, I think there's a lot of unfinished things that we're going to do. We have targets. We have very, I would say actually very high targets given where we are, but we keep, chipping away at them year after year. It's a compounding effect with all these things. Every year you increase yield, 5-10%. Every year you reduce importation, 10%. You just have to, that's how things grow. You compound it, and then you get there, we don't let up. And we pray, and for me, this is the note that is, when you say what are the timelines, now fuel price has gone up. Not to anybody's making, not government's fault.
Well,
just
the
because of the
particularly I was looking at what point, when would CTC be actively producing local rice, just as we have PC and Sons with onions, that we now have a solution to onions.
Yes.
How much longer can we get to the rice situation with CTC producing?
Well, see, they haven't said they're producing, they want to process. They want to process and bag. So right now, I'm playing a brokering role with them and the guys that are producing and linking with them. We have another meeting, I think after Ramadan, we pushed it to actually go see some of these. We will keep pushing. I think the story will be so amazing if we can do that. But before we get to even CTC, I think we're the one place where we're getting close, and maybe in the next 2 seasons, where the institutions will be feeding themselves, the military. They're doing 6,000 hectares of rice this year. And they're ready. They've told finance, give us half of the money. The whole force is about $16-18 million is what we spend on them for rice. Military, police, correctional service. We've asked them, even if it's a quarter of that money comes up front so that these forces can grow their rice, feed themselves. That we can see, by the way. That will happen. And then once that's happening, the likes of CTC can come and pick up that rice, process, bag, and push and give it to them so that it looks like the quality that they bring in, right? So I'm very excited about that. It's hard to put on what CTC's business plan is going to be. So I am closely pushing with them and providing incentives for them and following them. They're the biggest rice importer in the country, and they came to me and they say they want to do this. It's exciting. So I'm making it possible to make myself available, engage with them, go to the field with them. That's the effort I can put in. They will have to make that decision ultimately. That's so it's hard for me to give you a timeline on that, but I will push with them that let's see how far we get, because we're having lots of these examples of biggest importer changing into doing something into the space locally, because it's good for us locally, it's good for the market, it's also good for their business, as they themselves have told me.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Henry Musakaka, for being with us this morning. He's the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV Television and Radio. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, we'll move to the second and final segment of the program. We're discussing governance. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Come make me go. Come make me go waka waka. From Freetown we go. Come make me go waka waka. Go Bombali Karine, put loco cambia. Kai long any makono.
Fellow Sierra-Leoneans, on 8th August 2024, Statutory Instrument Number 8 of 2024 regarding the conduct of nationwide population and housing census was successfully laid in Parliament. On 29th August 2024, this statutory instrument became effective following 21 days from its laying. Therefore, in line with the decennial census calendar, I am pleased to announce that my government will conduct a nationwide population and housing census.
It's 2026, we dey get with census. Make come and tell him family them. Responsibility for in development. Make come and tell him family them. From the east to the west, from the north to the south, no matter how you play or you try, looking for to cow. Mama or papa, one picking on your back, auntie or uncle, what's it bill? Let it go to you. One people, one nation, let it go to you. Now we know back up bills alone, let it go to you.
Fellow Sierra-Leoneans,
Right, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. Welcome back. You're watching Wake Up Sierra Leone on the Africa Young Voices Media Empire. My name is Victor Jones and I'm here with Fabian Swill. We're continuing with the program this morning. Don't forget to join in on the conversation and drop your comments on our Facebook page. We're also streaming on YouTube, as I said. We are on AYV News, Wake Up Sierra Leone. You can also find us on TikTok this morning. We are on AYV News. You go there and you see a lot of people are commenting and having their say on what we're discussing this morning. Now, in this final segment, we're going to continue our discussions around the recent decision of the main opposition of People's Congress Party not to participate in Parliament and in general governance in the country. Now in the studio, we've been joined by Honorable Ibrahim Bundo. Honorable Bundo is a former majority leader in Parliament for the All People's Congress Party. And this morning on Zoom, we'll be having Honorable Bernadette Lahai, who is a former minority leader in Parliament for the ruling SLPP party. Good morning, Honorable Bundo.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's quite a disturbing time, if you ask me. I mean, your party has decided to stay off government. Is this a calculated decision, in your estimation?
Thank you very much. And in as much as I appreciate the word your party, but it's a national party, so our party,
okay.
The APC in the opposition, where I served as a member of parliament and rose to the rank of majority leader of the party and leader of government business. Yeah. I believe boycotts that I know and participated, these are tools that political parties and parliamentarians use to actually hammer home the magnitude to which they despise certain decisions taken by government. And if you go back to our history of Sierra Leone and boycotts, it's not only limited to parliament. In fact, we boycotted elections in this country.
Okay.
If you remember the 1977 and the advent of the unopposed, where unopposed word was born, you see that this has been around. And when I entered Parliament in 2002, decisions of boycotts were taken within us as parliamentarians Some of it comes out spontaneously, depending on the manner in which things have been done. If a circumstance arises that we in Parliament are not satisfied either with the ruling or the way the Speaker is handling the matter, you know, we can use that as a way of withdrawing. I will not even call it boycott. It's a withdrawal to avoid confrontation. So that was one outlet. Then sometimes, because I remember in 2002 we were only 27, and the majority party then, the SLPP, was 83, and traditionally the paramount chiefs vote alongside the government. So when he put those two, you know, we are rarely in the minority. However, there are several ways. If you are not in agreement with a certain bill, or you want to actually express your, you can try to first of all win the debate.
Okay.
As a minority, one of your biggest tools is to try to win the debate. You might not win the votes.
What you're saying is that the party was wrong to have boycotted, or they could have explored other means. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just giving a broad perspective of, okay, you know, I'm not here to, I've passed that stage to come and win a debate about who is wrong, who is right. But we put this to the public so that they can make their judgment, you know. So there are several ways you can you fight to win the debate. And why I'm bringing it out as another effective tool, because when political parties are in that kind of huge majority, they become complacent. You know, they don't go into more details. They don't read a lot. You know, say, after all, let them talk. We don't know the vote. SO2. You know, so that had been the pattern. But when we are in Parliament, then we use the outlets of winning the debate effectively, and that paid very good heed.
You know, what we've not seen, Honorable Bondo, is, you know, parties in this country, honorables, the members of Parliament, boycotting Parliament when, you know, the prices of things shot up in the market, when the prices of fuel rise up drastically, when people do not have, you know, accommodation, for example, places to live, when the cost of living rises way above people's means, you know, when they totally disagree with, you know, the lack of electricity, you know, or even food or malnutrition in this country. What we've seen is parliamentarians boycotting Parliament when elections are rigged in this country, or when things do not go in their favor in Parliament. I think that's a gross disservice to the people of this country, that you can only boycott when, you know, it has to do with you and not the people, I mean us, the masses.
Well, as you're highlighting it, it is for the people to hear and see if that is...
But isn't it true that you've never boycotted Parliament when electricity is not sufficient in Sierra Leone, or when water is scarce, or when the prices of goods in the market are far expensive for even a common man to afford a 3-square meal for the day? You've never in Parliament. The only time people boycott in this country, all of the parties, is when things do not go in their favor, or particularly, iconically, when elections are rigged.
Well,
no, is it true or not, Honorable Bondo?
Well, I'm not here to answer true or false.
No, is it true or not? Well, that's the reality. You know, as I know, that has never happened. You're a former senior member of Parliament. You know these things.
What you are saying is you are quite correct that these are the expectations of the people to look at critical issues like things like you have highlighted, energy, so on and so forth. For that, you want to see your elected members of Parliament boycotting parliament because those things are not effected, right?
Indeed.
So you are very right. But what I'm saying,
it's not me particularly. I mean the general public. Wouldn't that be even the proper thing to do?
We are all members of the public. We are only sharing information.
But to be honest, Honourable, wouldn't that be perhaps the actual reason why they are in parliament? So argue for the people, to boycott when things do not go the people's way.
Okay.
When they suffer, when things are hard, expensive to afford in the country. Isn't that why parliamentarians are there in the first place, to represent their people?
Well, if I want to...
Is it about arguing over who lost an election or not? Because what we've been seeing is that.
If I want to bring you home to what has brought this discussion,
it's about a general disagreement about the person who was nominated by the president to head the ACSL.
It's like a Lions and Blackpool, you know, wanting to play, then they bring in a referee that has controversy.
Okay.
These are elected members of parliament, and they are getting ready to go to election very soon.
Okay.
So the referee there is very, very crucial and critical for them.
I understand.
And the referee's role is going to define also the wishes and the aspirations of the people.
Okay.
And having seen certain decisions or how it has affected our political landscape today, nobody wants to take that chance. So you should not see it as a way of disruption. Otherwise, because remember, mind you, the people who are talking about here also stood on those lines to take a decision, the right decision to elect their officers, to elect their members of parliament, to elect their councillors. If that decision is erroneously overturned by any person, you know, it's also a cause for concern. However,
but by the way, just to interject briefly, I mean, do you refute the candidacy of Edmund Alpha being the Chief Electoral Commissioner?
No, I'm not there to take that decision, and I'm not here to...
Do you think it was the right thing to the APC to have done?
No, it's not about the APC. We elected an executive, and procedurally they are doing what to justify why they are there as executive to take short decisions.
Right.
If you call the member of the executive or the spokesman, they will give you detail on
I've spoken to them here actually.
Good, and they should give you detail on how they arrived at that decision. Mind you, our positions, my position today is not about winning a debate again, but rather to give my experience and expertise. I've been given the privilege by the people of this country over the years, you know, to share that kind of experience.
Let's trace our steps back. You mentioned earlier that there are several mechanisms, you know, to engage when things like this occur, right? And the idea, the reality is that when boycotts, you know, are made, they disrupt all facets of governance. You know, there are the council people who are attached to schools to oversee the functioning of schools, right? In some places, community centers, you know, hospitals, for example, healthcare facilities in this country. But if you've withdrawn your participation in governance, it affects all of those places. So it's not only about parliament or sitting inside the well, really. It's about governance, I mean, achieving things for the people on a daily basis.
Well, that is why you have a government. You have a government, and the government...
The government is everyone, Honorable.
I know. We have a government. If the political opposition class decide to take this short decision, I think, I don't know if you have seen it also, I saw a memo from the Minister of Local Government trying to justify that governments should not remain vacuous while things are there, services are there to be provided. And of course, it's not only the political class that run the government alone. There's an executive branch of it. So in the event of such, I saw that memorandum and I'm processing it to see. But it's also another government responsibility to see where the politics stop, what is the executive authority. They are looking for it, and all of us should have an interest to look and see how we can cushion and bring cohesion for the general interest of all of us. Because if councils are not served, it is also the responsibility of the government who allocate the money through the Ministry of Finance, who source the funds through through other donor agencies. So we as a nation, it's a question of just putting our political hats or egos aside, then come to the realization that, wait a minute, now this is what happens. How do we find a solutions mutually? So it's a question of honesty, it's a question of us, because tempers do flare in political discourse. However, you also need to take a break. You stick a pin on the responsibility, the roles and responsibility of a member of parliament, which are contained in the constitution and other things. When you have that consideration, and you consider your citizenship or your responsibility as a citizen under Section 13 of the Constitution also, then you act reasonably.
All right, we'll continue with you in a moment. Let's head to Zoom. We have been joined by Honorable Bernadette Lahai, former minority leader in Parliament for the Sierra Leone People's Party. Honorable Bernadette Lahai is also amongst the longest serving members of Parliament. Honorable, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Honorable Bernadette Lahai, are you there? Can you hear me? I'm not very sure about the connection of Honorable Bernadette Lahai there via Zoom this morning, so we'll just continue the conversation in the studio until we are able to sort out the Zoom. But let's look at the impact of a boycott, of main opposition parties boycotting the participation in governance. What impact do you think that has on the country's governance structure in a democratic state?
Well, the impact should not be limited to say yes. It's a mixed bag. It's both not something that anybody is anticipating, given the circumstance, the situation we are as a nation, and even a global trend that is now, there are so many ways to look at it. However, like in my opening statement, I spoke about
what is good and bad about boycotting governance in a democratic country?
Well, you temporarily shut government, or you call their attention to things that you think they are extremely wrong in your view, for a dialogue. It's not about actually trying to shut government. I don't go into that hasty answer to say it is bad, because those are responsible, honorable people elected by the people, and if they take short decision, it's only...
No, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm asking you from, as now a statesman, someone who had sat in Parliament for a while, you are now a statesman. I'm asking you, what are the good things and what are the bad things about boycotting? Well, I'm not asking that you pass a verdict on what they're doing, whether it's right or wrong. I'm asking generally. I ask because we have a history of the SLPP in main opposition boycotting, the APC in main opposition boycotting. Both parties are guilty of a boycott. But from a general perspective, what are the good and bad things of a boycott in governance for a democratic country?
Well, so many of them, so many good, so many bad, because it is like when you fight a war, there are destructions and there are results also that changes the mindset of the one who is perceived as a bully. So boycotts have both good and bad. Like a temporary shutdown of any government is not good. What is happening, it's not only peculiar to Sierra Leone, it's also happening in bigger states like the United States. You hear about shutting down governments, These are just political natural tools that politicians use or political parties use to actually pin down a government that they perceive as bully, listen to them. You know, it's conventional. It does not carry the law, but it carries the force of law, because that is a best practice. Because some people will be towering over you if you don't use certain drastic measures to let them to let their ears know about what you want to do. They can also be, you know, so. But however, when that impact becomes very, very negative to the people you serve, it is also but reasonable for you. So it's not only going to affect the members of parliament and their ego, or the boycotters and their ego. It also affects the nation. And if you represent those people, you know, I mean, you begin to see their economic activities are being shut down. Their day-to-day cohesion, or, you know, it's been, so those are all. It's not a question of one person saying it. It's because it affects all of us. It affects all of us. Let nobody tell you that when we do boycotts, our boycott was not as extensive as the one that I've seen lately. In 2023, it was a decision taken by the party as a result of the pronouncement of the results of 2023. They felt so dissatisfied that they said the only way we are going to do it is to boycott governance. So they will actually see that we are very, very serious in what we are saying. Then, of course, I bring you back to 1977, when the SLPP felt very seriously that what happened in 1973, they don't want a repetition of it in 1977. So since the then APC was doing what they think was right, they boycotted, and but the business of the election went through. So what happened? Now we are in 2026, and tensions are rising. Boycotts are coming. Now decision is not taken by parliaments or councils that I used to know, those temporary boycotts. This is now becoming a second pattern in 2026. So if that escalates to a point where the APC will say, we will not participate in the 2028 elections. You know, all those have their negative and positive impact, but that is going to. So this is where we, the political class, and everybody in this country, we should brace up, because we have precedents, and most of those precedents have turned out to be bad precedents. So this discussion should capture the attention of very, very senior and, you know, people in this country, because it's going to have a very, very serious impact, both negative and but the negativity of it, I believe, will far supersede the positive things that we'll be getting from there.
I'll come right back to you. Let's try again on Zoom to see if we can get Honorable Bernadette Lahai. Good morning, Honorable. Are you there now?
I am there. Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. This issue of boycott after the 2023 elections, we're still back at it with the APC saying they are not going to participate in parliament and in governance generally because of the issue with Edmond Alpha, which they're also linking to the 2023 elections disagreements that led to the Tripartite committee and the Tripartite committee's report. They've linked both, and they're saying abstinence till God knows when. They're not telling the public when they would come back. What do you think this is doing in a democratic country like Sierra Leone, a country that practices democracy? What do you think the boycotts are doing to the governance structure of this democracy? Going by the history that it's both the APC and the SLPP, when they are in opposition, when things don't go their way, they turn to boycott.
Yeah, thank you very much. Are you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting you. Go ahead with your submission.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, Sierra Leoneans. Good morning, my colleague, Honorable Ibrahim. I have listened to his submission concerning boycotts, whether they are good or bad, and how they affect governance. I think if we look at the constitutional role of the members of parliament, we make laws, we debate, your views are heard on issues, you also represent your constituents, and then also your role is also very important when it comes to oversight. So I think all those three roles are important and they should go hand in hand. When you select two of those roles, they affect governance. For example, if you are representing your constituents but not sitting in parliament to take part in debates, to also have opposition view on issues, opposition views should also reflect the views generally of the membership of the opposition, or people who may not even be political party members, card-holding members, but they are also very important citizens of the country. And the platform that you occupy, that is a legislative platform, is a very legal mandate for you to also air those views. So it's not only the opposition's views, because there's people who don't carry card, who are really, who vote at the end of every 5 years, but they are really not card holders. So when you represent your constituents, it's not only those that voted for you or whether those in the opposition, but you are also representing the generality of the country. So by holding your participation, for example, taking part in debate, forming critical opinion, you are also shortchanging, those likely voices that you represent, whether your own political party members or the generality of members who do not belong to political parties. Of course, it shortchanges governance, because governance, especially constitutional governance, is that everybody cannot come to parliament. If you are representing 56,000 people, all 56,000 people do not come to parliament, you are the mouthpiece of the people in your constituency, and generally also those not in your constituency, but who may have important views that they will want it brought in parliament. So all those people you should change. And besides, when you are elected, you're elected in parliament as a party and not as an individual. And in Sierra Leone, we are practicing multi-party democracy. This time it is 2 parties in parliament. Another time it was 5 parties. Another time it was 3 parties. So that means we need to have variant views. Not every time political parties in parliament can agree and have an easy consensus on issues. But at the end of the day, you can have your say. As Honorable Ibrahim was saying, you can have your say and we can have our way. When we were in government, in opposition, that is what they used to say. We were 42 and they were 70. So they said, okay, you can debate as long as you want. At the end of the day, let's vote. So, but when you walk out of parliament, those views may not be heard. Yes, you can have press releases, you can go to the radio, but the legitimate platform, really constitutional legitimate platform, is the parliament. And we have tools that we keep your voices, your ideas, your perception for many years, that citizens who are not there or citizens yet unborn can always go. I'm now referring to the Hansard to say, what happened then? What was the precedent? Who said what? What can we learn from situations, similar situations that will come up? So I think boycott, yes, is part of the parliamentary tools that MPs can use to either to show their displeasure on issues. Both political parties have been using these tools, but one, we have to look at the efficacy of the tools and the timing of the tools. When in opposition, on 1 or 2 occasions we boycotted, but it was not for long. We boycotted on the issue. For example, when Christian Atop was about to be appointed a second time, we stayed in the well, we gave our views, we took part in the debate, but haven't shared our views, our perceptions, or our inclinations. We walked out temporarily so that we are not part of the final decision to approve her re-nomination. After that, we came back and we continued. Yeah.
What is the point of going to Parliament and being a part of a debate if your views are not heard and reflected in the decision-making process anyway?
Yeah, but already your decision-making, because when you have given your views, in those views, your final decision can be made very clear that we are not going to take part for these reasons, and therefore, if we stay and say yes or no, it means physically we took part. But already, if you have made your point very succinctly and you have made your position very clearly, and you walk out, even in your walkout, you are walking out to say you are not part of it, you will not take part in it. So it is as good also as staying and saying yes or no. Whether it is a simple majority or where, on very, very contentious and entrenched issues, you are looking at the two thoughts. So that is it. But what I'm saying is that the press release from APC is out there. The debate in the Parliament, they should stay and take part in that debate, so that their views are clearly articulated. They can counter views coming from the government. They can bring in examples of precedences that has happened in the past. They can also show how, the actions that are to be taken will not be in the national interest, or how it's going to play out overall in the development of the country. So that is what I would do. That when I was in Parliament, as a minority leader, we tried to minimize. We tried severally to minimize. Rather, we stayed, we debated. We may lose the debate, but we may win, we may lose the vote. But the voices are also very important. Because you see, continuous boycotting will also hurt even the very people that you want to help, or their voices. Because it is not only you're sitting there in Parliament, but you are also there to heighten the voices of those people you represent, the voices of those that also have concerns. Because when some of these things happen, there are a lot of discussions in the different media, the radio, the print media, the electronic media, coming from people who may not necessarily be political party members. We have professionals, we have people from different professions, we have international people, we have a lot of other NGOs, civil societies that may not necessarily carry party cards, but their views are aired, and you may have had those views. They may have correct concerns, they may have genuine concerns. So when you stay in Parliament and articulate all those issues going into the Hansard, you are also taking part in the debate. Your physical presence at the end of the day, wherein you just put the speaker put the question yes or no, and it may be important, because if it is show of hands, they will have to count the hands. If it is collection of voices, the ayes have it, the nays don't have it. All go into the Hansard in one form or the other, sometimes verbatim. So I think we need to it is parliamentary to boycott, but we also have to look at the efficacy, how effective it is, how is it going to affect governance in the future, how is it going to affect development, how is it bringing stability and cohesion. Remember that at the end of the day, parliamentarians, we are in parliament to make sure that we make laws that will lead to peace and security in the country.
Now, it's a very dicey situation we're in because the APC is saying the boycott is not only in Parliament, it's governance activities generally across the board. And they want Edmond Alpha to be removed from office. The dicey part there is Edmond Alpha has been sworn in already. Constitutionally, he is now protected through his mandate, except if he falls short on certain other areas. But his constitutional term is protected. His term in office is protected by the Constitution. And the local government, on the other hand, is suggesting or strongly recommending that there should not be vacuum. There should not be vacuum in governance. There should be a replacement of those who choose to abstain from governance. This is really dicey, but what do you think is the best way out of this on the APC side and the SLPP-led government's side to get the country back to stability?
Yeah, it's a very dicey situation, but let us also always go back to where we came from. When we refused as opposition to ratify the nomination of Christian Atop, we went out, the nomination was passed, we came back in. She continued her mandate. She continued her mandate until, her mandate was ended and a new electoral commissioner was sworn in. So I agree with you. The die has been cast. He has been sworn in, and constitutionally he is the substantive holder of that position. Now that having acted as acting for several months, is now the constitutionally legally elected to complete his term at the pleasure of His Excellency. So, and then we know that the local government, we have devolved a lot of functions to the local councils, like some had to do with health, some has to do with agriculture, and some has to do with roads, and a lot of those sectors. So, and their concurrence in some of these are important. But I agree that we also have other members from the SLPP who are also members of that committees, of those sectors. So there's not going to, I don't think there will be a vacuum. There will be a vacuum in the sense that, for example, if you take the health service, are the remaining councillors going to see people die, pregnant women, lactating mothers, children die because of the boycott? No. And the government has a manifesto to carry out. They have a mandate. They have a social contract with the people that if you give us this mandate, we will do A, B, C, and D, given the resources and given the enabling environment. So it is unfortunate that even at the local government level, they have been asked to hold their service in abeyance. But at the same time, the members of the ruling government, and we also have departments and agencies also carrying and working together with the local councils to carry out some of these functions. Their work has not been put in abeyance, so they are there to provide also the administrative and technical support, in addition to what is required of the councillors to carry out those devolved functions, especially ones that has to do with life and death. Education, we are saying that education is very key, and we have very low illiteracy rate in the country. Transportation is still a problem. We are trying to make sure that we light the country, and there are also institutions that have been mandated to provide these services alongside the councillors. So I'm not saying that their presence is not needed or their absence is not felt. It is felt because this is a collective responsibility. They've all have been elected by their people to serve, to ensure that there is quality service delivery. But in the absence, I hope that it will be temporary and very short-lived. The government is not going to come to a standstill. So the government can take several approaches. Let the work be going on while the government goes into consultations and negotiations, with the political party, and that means the MPs, the political party at the party level and those at the elective level, to see how they can, resolve this problem. But just as when SPP was in opposition, things did not come to a standstill because they held their services in abeyance, which was sometimes very, very temporary for hours. That means if it's in Parliament, they will leave. When that subject is addressed, they come back and they continue with the activities with what was on the other paper and carry out their oversight role of representation and lawmaking and all those things. But from the press release, it seems that this one is there's no definite time when they are going to come back, which is very sad. So, the Chinese proverb says, when you are drowning, you should pray to God, but at the same time, you should keep on swimming towards the shore. So it is like this situation. While the government will continue to do what it can do given the current situation, it also has to look for ways and means to ensure that dialogue is on and the situation is looked at, and maybe there is a give and take situation. But governance is continuity because people depend on all those social services to survive, to survive. So what the government can do within its mandate to see that they carry out these functions, discussions should also be going on as with the political parties and other brokers, moral guarantors, to see how this quagmire can be resolved.
Honorable it is the Tripartite recommendation that gave birth, to the amendments of the, if you like, the 1991 Constitution, particularly the area that has to do with elections in this country, or how the next, election are going to be conducted in Sierra Leone. Now, the APC's argument is that there has been a particular clause, in that particular legislation, which has already been tabled in Parliament. The Search and Nomination Committee, gives birth, to multiplicity of ideas, as to who should constitute the committee that would, select or appoint, if you like, the next Commissioner General of the ECSL. But the idea that they are peddling is this, that government may have acted in ill faith, given that this legislation is already tabled in Parliament, and discussions have already begun, in the about that particular section, which perhaps could have gave way, for the committee to do its job as the Tripartite, recommendation had informed. Do you think that the government perhaps may have, rushed a bit, could have perhaps acted ill-fated in this instance? Couldn't they have waited for, this particular piece of legislation to have been enacted before the appointment of the next commissioner?
Thank you very much. I know that the bill in Parliament speaks to it, and the process is on. We don't know how long this process is going to take place. In fact, don't forget that any aspect of the provisions in that bill that is presently in Parliament can be amended. It is not that everything that has gone before Parliament is going to come out the same way as it is presented to them. Because not all members of Parliament we are part of the Tripartite committee. There were representatives from government, NGOs, our moral guarantors, and certain institutions. You know that Parliament is like a furnace in the sense that when laws go through it, they are scrutinized, they are amended, they are hammered, either they are flattened or whatever, they are molded so that at the end of the day, what comes out, may be different, slightly or very different from what came in. So the question I have always asked is that, are all those tripartite provisions that will find their way in the laws that will come to Parliament sacrosanct? Are they going to remain as they are in terms of wording, in terms of structure, or will they even see the light of day in the process of lawmaking? So these are just some of my own thoughts.
All right.
Yes, let's assume that Mr. Alpha has not been appointed and appointment ratified. Let's assume that they will wait until that bill in Parliament is passed. What is the guarantee that that clause of the search committee will stay in that bill, or it will not be modified? What is the guarantee? Right. But at the same time, the government exactly knows what the vacuum could mean. The vacuum for not filling the position. I'm not speaking for government, but I'm saying that they know exactly the implications of leaving that position vacant. They know what will be the ramifications. Nice. Nobody knows when the bill is going to pass in Parliament. Election issues are time-bound, and we have the ECOWAS protocol on democracy, good governance, and elections. And there are certain provisions that nobody alters, certain critical provisions in the electoral frameworks 6 months before the time. Right. So I'm sure this is why the AG has thought it fit that they have picked out all those election-related issues and brought it to Parliament. Given currently the composition of the Parliament, wherein there has been acrimony when laws are being made. Right. So now that even the APC is holding their participation in abeyance, that is already affecting the timeline. It's already affecting the timeline, for the enactment of these bills, especially for bills that are maybe entrenched, or bills that are going to go through referendum and all those things. So government is in a better position to decide what informed their action of bringing the nomination of Mr. Alpha to Parliament, while at the same time those electoral provisions are before the Parliament for enactment, and God knows when the bill will be passed into law. Right. So for me, for any situation, there may be several options. Right. Sometimes one option is better than the other, but sometimes you also concurrently address a problem using several options based on your understanding and the exigency and the implications, of delay. Right. So I'm not speaking for the government, but I think the government is in a better place. But what happens is, what I know is that once Parliament has ratified his nomination, except if he falls foul of some of the reasons in the Constitution or in the Electoral Act that leads to the disqualification of the commissioner or that leads to the sacking of the commissioner. If none of those issues exist at the time, then Parliament may not be in a position to withdraw his nomination.
Right,
either he is not fit in terms of health-wise, or he misbehaved, gross misbehavior. Of course, there is also a procedure. A procedure is there is a commission set, and you have to bring the issue to Parliament, and when there is 2/3 of MPs that are in favor of his relieving from that position, then so be it.
All right, Honorable Bernard Lai, thank you so very much indeed. Honorable Bundu, do you have any follow-ups from what Honorable Lai has just said?
Yeah, as a follow-up, let me preface it. I like an acronym called PEAD, P-E-A-D. Okay. The post-election anxiety disorder. Right. I'm bringing this up to bring to memory what after the 2023 elections, so many things have come up, and they have now given rise to boycotts being extended now, or decisions of boycott being taken outside of Parliament to now political party offices. So that is a very scary position for the country. Okay. And this speed factor, the post-election anxiety disorder, has taken very long. 3 years down the road, we should be thinking about the things we are highlighting. How do we fix our roads? How do we fix electricity? Those should be at the front seat of our discourse now. Okay. But to still be grappling with our elections, yes, we are also fighting for the people's voices and for the people's rights. However, after you've gotten your right, vote, then what next? You want the basics, of putting food on the table for you and your siblings. You want things that will make your life comfortable. But honestly, there are so many things that we should rise up to, and with honesty and sincerity to both ourselves and the people of this nation. Because most of what my colleague has stated are very, very right. Technicalities should sometimes give to expediency. The way the country is, honestly, we have to hold some of our egos back. Don't tell me the Constitution gives you this right, but the Constitution was not on leave or was not on break when you append your signature to certain agreements. Don't reduce it to a gentleman's agreement. These are things we should come out here and say. Even conventions that are not laws, they carry the force of law because it is an agreement. We have when you are an executive, you have executive power, to the point of even putting it in the Constitution, supreme executive powers. When we in Parliament, in the legislative arm, when we get to a point where we want to have a dead end, we have what we call the suspension of the standing orders to let the business of the House go. And if that is supported by the constitutional provision, Section 94, Parliament regulates itself for the smooth run, because we don't want to get a dead end, So let us all agree as a nation, all the arms. Let the judiciary come in, let the legislators, all of us sit in a very, very round table to see how we can come up with solutions. The problems are many, so definitely expediency comes to play. So if I'm to intercede as a parting shot, this is what I want. This post-election anxiety disorder, we should get out of it. Millions of people that we represent they are suffering. Let us look at it from that perspective.
And lastly, Honorable Bundu, to sum it all up this morning, the APC had actually requested for an audience with the president.
Right.
I mean, according to one of their, spokesperson from the party the other day, Barrister AKK, he was saying that, State House had summoned them, but it coincided with the last day of their meeting last week. So they couldn't attend the meeting. At the moment, we don't know when, His Excellency would perhaps, decide discretionarily to hold a meeting with the opposition. In the meantime, there are voids across government that, the APC should fill. For how long do you think this could continue for? Let's perhaps prognosticate a bit. Do you see this ending soon?
It is my hope.
Okay.
I'm very, very upbeat that given the situation we find ourselves with all these global disturbances and so on and so forth, if we are a pro-people, which we should be, because politics is a game of people. It's not about a game of person or a few people. You see, why some of us were always willing and ready to come to this platform is to actually share our experience, because politics also, there are internal dynamics that makes things very, very, very convoluted for us. Sometimes you are not consulted, or even with all the experience and expertise you may have, for reasons politically not favoring those who are and you can only participate in an executive or whatever activity internally to the extent to which you are consulted or even informed to participate. Yeah, I mean, like you say, yeah, not a touch, but heavy load, If you see that the situation around even your own political, you see some people, they go quiet. But I would advise them, don't go quiet and just sit. Come to short platforms, come out to things, because this is about our nation. I like it, the dying one. They care about who people go. So those are the things you should be thinking about. No, when you are thinking about a nation, just know, say, when Halaki came, not the one great person. When Fode Sanko came to this country, we all know the effect. Today, he is dead. You are suffering. He is dead. He is now with God, whether he's in the right side or the left side. It's no longer his business. So don't allow Halaki to override us. Let us all rise up and rise to the occasion.
Right, thank you very much indeed. Honorable Muna, I like the petition there, not allow Halaki for disturb you. All right, let's join Esther quickly for sport this morning before wrapping up the program. Good morning, Esther. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Victor and Phoebe. And for our sport updates this morning, we'll focus our attention to football, where Eastern Lions Football Club secured a dramatic 3-all draw against Bantal FC in the Leone Rock Premier League. Bantal FC took the lead just 2 minutes into the first half before Lions' new signing, Kwame Kwe, equalized in the 19th minute, while in the 34th minute, Emmanuel and Sumana restored Bantal's FC advantage, putting them ahead of the match. Well, that particular game ended in a 3-all draw. After the match, the head coach of Eastern Lions Football Club, Mohamed Lamin Kamara, gave his thoughts and reactions about the match.
No, it's never. We came after 3 points. We just unfortunately, we could probably be due to poor officiating today. But yeah, it's very disappointing on our side. The deal has been done, so we take the result as it is, and then we'll go back home and build on the lapses for today and see what tomorrow will bring for us today. We look for another tough encounter against Boycott, but we look for a win in our next fixture.
Away from that, head coach of Leone Stars, Mohamed Kalon, has invited 26 home-based players for training ahead of FIFA series. Well, Leone Stars head coach Mohamed Kalon invited these 26 players as they will participate in the series, which will take place in March and April this year, where Sierra Leone is set to face Azerbaijan, Oman, and St. Lucia as part of this global event featuring 48 national teams from all 6 FIFA confederations. Well, that's all for Sports Update this morning. Over to you, Fabian and Victor.
Yes, to Samura.
Thank you loads, Mary, for the sports update this morning. We're rounding off. We should end today's edition, but Honorable Bundu, what would you say to the APC now as, you know, the best line of action, and what would you say to the President Bio-led government on the best line of action to get this resolved? On both ends, what do you think should be done to fix this?
In fact, let me start by addressing the two political parties. In very few days or weeks, we are going to turn 65. We have all the experience and expertise to turn this country around, APC and SLPP. It's not about President Bio, it's not about the executive of the APC. We are all seated here, benefited in some way, somehow, to the extent to which we can now sit in public and articulate some of our experiences. So it's a question of understanding that we represent people, and the positions we now hold or we have held before, those were contracts given to us. At any point in life, you have to be able to serve. That's why you hear people say we are retired, but we are not tired. You should not be tired to look at your people. This is Leone. This is the only country we have. President Bio, President Kuruma, because President Kaba is now late, and all stakeholders. Let us in our quiet corner, let us in our own way look at the sufferings of the people and begin to address these issues. You know, even people who don't have material to, you see them abusing, you know, coming out with effectives. This is all telling you how the temperature is. Let us de-escalate the situation in this country. We need peace, we need cohesion. And it is the responsibility of these two parties who are 65 years old. Mind you, SLPP was 1950 or what have you, APC 1960. So we have even outlived our, you know. So please, my own plea this morning, and I'll continue to plead in whatever corner, is to see that tensions are rising. People are not getting the requisite things that we promised them. Both parties. We came to governance. We stayed there for 11 years. It has its own good and bad things that we did not do or did not do correctly. However, what we should be thinking about now is a solution. Other than finger pointing, other than blaming one another, it's not going to solve problem. Fabian alone cannot solve the problem of this country, neither Victor or myself. But we'll talk about it in a very genuine and very patriotic manner. Our parties will go, you will go, but this country will remain forever. That's what I know about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ibrahim Bundu, for your time this morning, and thanks to Honorable Bernadette Lahai, who joined us via Zoom. Well, this is where we'll have to end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Would like to say thanks to our guests for being a part of the program. Thanks to your lovely audience for tuning in. Thanks to our bank and all the advertisers supporting Wake Up Sierra Leone and AYV Media Empire generally. We've been your presenters. I am Fabian Swill, wishing you a lovely day and a productive week.
And I am Victor Jones. Continue to watch the Africa Young Voices for more programs. We shall be back tomorrow morning. Goodbye.